happy to announce that I located a second airport in Cambridge, Ontario, Canada yesterday. Well, I guess I located it today, but as I was taking a trip to Toronto, I noticed an aircraft flying very low at me in the car, and it kind of turned and disappeared. So that got me thinking. Well, the first thought in my mind was it was a water airplane landing at Pushlands Lake, but it didn't have any floats on it. So I was thinking to myself, wow, there's actually a different area to land in Cambridge other than the water at Pushlands Lake. So turns out in Flight Simulator and in real life, you can locate a place that's actually quite private. But because this is not the real world, we are able to visit this private area. Fortunately, the simulator hasn't perfectly mapped out this area, but it is there, which is great. It's very tricky to land, so I will be utilizing the no crash options. It's actually a lot more fun to play this game if you turn off the crashes, because if you want to land somewhere and check it out, the screen doesn't go black and you're not forced to restart. One thing I liked about X-Plane is you could crash and then you could stare at your plane for a long time, burning. Not that that's fun, but it's a little bit more exciting than the screen going black and them telling you that, sorry, you broke your plane, so now you are screwed. Okay, so I'm going to take off from Reedsfield, which is the more well-known airport in Cambridge. It's in between the 401 and some other side road that I just can't remember off the top of my head. And behind me you can see that other side road. And we're going to fly the very long flight to the other Cambridge airport. The nice news is I'm pointed at that other airport, kind of, and we'll be taking off over the 401. So let's go for this pretty short trip. Get the I have no rudder pedals, so you have to bear with me when I drive down the runway like I'm drunk, because using a joystick to do that is not always the optimum way to do it. Actually using a slider on the joystick right now because it's super sensitive. And there we go. Well, good news is I didn't crash, so this is an extremely short flight. I'm going to make kind of an illegal right turn out over the 401, which has some interesting bumps in it. And for anybody that knows the area, I'm going to be passing by the service stations, which are just east of Cambridge, probably about a minute or 2 minutes or 3 minutes, depending on where you get on the highway. There used to be McDonald's down there, but I think they changed it to Wendy's and just Tim Hortons truck stop. And there's one on each side of the highway. All right, so we're already almost at this other airport. I'll do a little flyover at first. It's not really an airport, though. It's more of a private field shaped like a runway. So the airplane was flying. I'm actually going to kind of do the route that airplane did yesterday. It's just really nice that in this flight simulator you can actually locate things and find out what was going on. So I'm approaching the Town Line Road exit on the 401 going into Cambridge, and to the left is Pushlands Lake. So getting onto the highway, we would be turning onto the highway right here, heading out of Cambridge, and go back into the zoomed out view. So the real weather is kind of accurate right now, but it's not that hard to portray the clear skies, so it's all good. So just for reference again, that's where we entered the highway. And I'm flying over Pushlands Lake now. So I'm going to try to fly the path that the aircraft flew. That we witnessed yesterday. So I was aware that aircraft would land in Pushlands Lake in the water. I just wasn't aware that there was a small kind of airfield for other aircraft to land. And more than likely it's because it is a private area in which you can't even really drive in there. And you wouldn't think an airport's there because there's a lot of trees. I'll try to illustrate that. So down here, this is where that airport is, or I guess runway. There's trees in Flight Simulator that are kind of a little bit past where the space would be to land, so you may go through trees when you land in that one little area. I'll try not to, but you know, it's not going to crash if I do. Alright, so I'm going to try to reproduce the route that aircraft took to land there. So I'm pretty convinced the aircraft flew like right over the service station, but did a really short final because they were not over the 401. Now they had a more of an ultralight looking aircraft, so I'm using a Cessna 152. But yeah, I'm pretty convinced this was the route the aircraft took. And we saw the plane. It's like, what is that aircraft doing? But it all makes sense now. I think it's a little bit easier in real life to see this because I can't see anybody trying to land in such limited visibility of the runway with such tall trees. But you never know. I looked at Google Earth imagery, and I think there's a little bit more space than what you're getting in this game. So I believe the distance is probably about right, but again, I'm going to try to land in between all these trees, which are kind of overstaking in the runway. There we go. There we go. So for any fans of Cambridge that may not have understood that this little area actually existed, it does. And it's pretty sweet. So I'm going to just see if the wings actually clear the trees, just for some fun right now. But in real life, there is some form of a little house here, but there should be some aircraft parked here. Maybe it's a simple scenery idea for somebody who might want to fix up Cambridge. Put a little house in there. I still love that the simulator has grass pretty much everywhere you land, whether it's an airport or not. You can land on a mountain, you can land here. So just off to the left of the plane, this is where there's not this many trees in the area. I'm pretty certain of that. I mean, one gust of wind and you're going to lose your wing in real life, so I think the trees to the left of the plane are a little bit shaved back. You'll actually see where they are shaved back, and that's probably more likely where it is. So, yeah, I guess if I landed in the very middle of the trees, then I did not hit them. But I think this would be at least the minimum length you'd get on the runway. Now, taking off from this airport's a little bit trickier. I'm going to try and do it just to go back to Reed's Field, but I'm probably going to go through the trees. But we'll give it a try. Yeah, there's a lot more room over here. I'll try our short field takeoff techniques. Try not to hit any of these trees. All right. All right, let's give it a try. This is why I tell people I don't even know why anybody bothers with the bigger planes in this game. There's so many little areas in the world that you can locate, have some fun with. All right, we're going to try this short field takeoff, and maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. Let's give it a try. Again, bear with me, I have no rudder pedals, So I have a button and a slider, and I'm using the button right now so you can see just how sharp of a little turn I get. Alright, okay. I didn't do so well with the other aircraft this morning, but it looks like this one was okay. I was using the Piper X Cub crafter thing. Okay, so we're good to go. Back up in the air. Alright, we'll get rid of a set of flaps in a second. I want to get a little higher in the trees. Alright, so we're going to remove some flaps, get a little bit more speed. And we should be good to remove the other set of flaps. So there you have it, a little private airport that I guess only if you're part of the elite group that owns it. I mean, I'm speculating, but usually when somebody owns a piece of land that's private, it's got a ton of airplanes coming in and out, usually means they got some coin. And I'll fly back to the other Cambridge airport, which is also a private airfield technically. But I believe if somebody needed to make an emergency landing, they can land there, and can't really do much about it because it's a registered airport. So there you have it. Some more very exciting realism in the game. I'm personally surprised that some of these very little areas are very detailed or look a lot more realistic than some areas that you think they would have taken some more time with. I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but there's some areas where you're just like, doesn't really look like it. Doesn't seem like it's a good portrayal, but then you've got an area like this where you're seeing a small field in Cambridge that you can actually land at that I believe is kind of accurate. So we're already at Reed's Field again. I'm going to do I was going to land over the 401, so I'm going to do a funny traffic pattern, which is, again, not normal, but hey, it's not real life, so unless there's a FS2020 Civil Air Patrol, then not going to come and get me, I hope. But so far I've been pretty happy with this game. Again, I do a lot of shout outs to the laptop I'm using because it's not an overly expensive basic gaming laptop. It's a GL65 9SD made by MSI. And I didn't expect it to run this game. So for those of you who are looking to get this game, this laptop was about $1,500. Be a flapless landing this time, if I can even get to that. Let's try a bit of a slip here without gaining too much speed. There we go. Now I'll drop some flaps down. So yeah, anybody who's interested in getting a more affordable computer, feel free to check out the MSI gaming computers. And while you're at it, keep in mind that I believe the biggest difference for this is something you may have to purchase on top of the laptop, which is some RAM. I have 32 gigs of RAM in this machine, and it's using quite frequently over half of that, meaning that 16, which is kind of a recommended. Like right now, I can pop the screen here for you, using 50% of the memory, and that's just flying a Cessna. There's no storms. So if you've got 16 gigs, I assume you'd be feeling it already. You'd be maxed out. So get that 32 gigs. I've never had it maxed out. So I would assume that 32 is going to be okay. But again, with the laptop and the memory, it was about 1,500 Canadian dollars for this computer, all said and done. And it ran X-Plane fine, and to my surprise, it ran this fine. Like, X-Plane runs very well as well. So if you like playing both of the games, then I think it's a worthwhile investment. Anyways, that's it for this video. I just wanted to show you a really cool short trip between Cambridge and another Cambridge landing strip, which people may not have known existed. And I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to subscribe and like these videos and share them. I'm going to try to hit up some other random places that people might be interested in. It's nice to have a game in which, you know, it almost looks like you're there when you see these little fun spots. Thanks for watching, and have yourselves a wonderful day.
No, 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 no. Oh, no, no, no. No, oh, oh, oh. And I ain't never gonna stop.